She came into his life through a contract, a deal made behind her back. Scarlett Johansson, a breathtakingly beautiful 21-year-old girl with stars in her eyes and hope in her heart, had no idea what she was walking into. Born in a small, forgotten town, she never imagined life would take her to a mansion so grand, a world so dazzling. But every dream comes at a cost, and hers was cruel. 1 year, one child. That was the silent agreement signed by her mother, sealed by Ethan Cross. He was 30, cold, rich, powerful, a man with no space for love in his calculated life. All he wanted was an heir to secure his billion-dollar empire. So he hired her, not as a wife, not as a woman, just as a body, a womb. But she didn't know. She came with pure intentions, with real emotions. She thought it was love. She thought she was chosen. And in her innocence, she fell deeply, hopelessly for the very man who was about to shatter her. Because soon the contract would end. Her time would expire. And the man she loved would reveal the truth, that she was never meant to stay, that her place in his life was just borrowed. But by then, her heart belonged to him, and what he would break could never be repaired again. Soft candlelight flickered on the walls, casting golden glows across the luxurious penthouse suite. White roses and peonies adorned every corner of the room. The scent of lavender mixed with fresh jasmine danced in the air, soothing and sweet. A gentle breeze moved the silk curtains, adding life to the otherwise silent space. Sophia Lane stood near the grand floor-to-ceiling window, her delicate hands clasped together. She looked breathtaking in her elegant white wedding gown, its lace sleeves hugging her arms, the shimmering crystals catching the light with every breath she took. Her golden brown hair was curled perfectly, cascading down her back like a royal waterfall. But despite all the beauty around her, her heart pounded with nerves. Her eyes slowly traveled across the room ivory velvet walls, a glass chandelier hanging like a frozen waterfall above, and furniture so luxurious it felt unreal. She gently touched the carved gold lining of a side table and whispered to herself, "This place, it's like a dream." In her heart, she couldn't believe this was real. Just days ago, she was in her small countryside home in Vermont, living a modest life with her mother. They didn't even own a microwave, let alone gold-plated candle holders and Italian silk sheets. Her hands trembled slightly as she brushed her fingertips over the velvet curtains. "How did I end up here?" she murmured. Her thoughts raced. Was this truly happening? Was she really married to Ethan Cross, the billionaire every magazine obsessed over, a man of mystery, success, and unreachable status? And now, her husband. Sophia bit her lip nervously and looked down at her wedding ring. It sparkled like a drop of the moon, heavy on her finger, yet she still couldn't believe it was hers. Suddenly, the large double doors creaked open behind her. She gasped softly and immediately lowered her gaze, clutching her hands tightly. Her heart skipped a beat. She didn't need to look. She could feel it. He had arrived. Ethan Cross stepped inside with quiet authority. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a sharp black tuxedo that fit him perfectly. The soft light reflected in his dark blue eyes, the same eyes that had once appeared cold in magazine covers, now seemed tired deep, almost unreadable. His face was striking, sharp jawline, trimmed beard, smooth hair pushed back. But what caught her breath was not his beauty, it was his silence. He walked slowly toward her, each footstep calm and confident, but his expression unreadable. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't frowning. He looked guarded. "You're nervous," he said finally, his voice deep and steady. Sophia slowly lifted her gaze, her lashes fluttering. "A little," she whispered. He tilted his head slightly, observing her. "You look beautiful." A small smile touched her lips, but it vanished just as quickly. "Thank you." There was a pause. The air between them thickened. She expected him to come closer, to say something romantic like the stories she used to read at night. But he didn't. He looked away for a moment, then toward the bed, then back at her. "You don't have to be afraid of me, Sophia," he said gently. "I know this marriage was sudden. You barely know me." Sophia shook her head, her voice barely audible. "I trust you." He studied her face. "That's kind of you. But I don't deserve your trust yet." A long silence followed. He took off his tuxedo jacket and placed it carefully over the chair. Then he walked toward the balcony doors, opened them slightly, and let the cool night breeze enter. Fireworks could be seen faintly in the distance. It was July 4th after all, Independence Day. But here, in this quiet room, the only explosion was the tension between them. Just as Sophia gathered the courage to speak again, a soft knock broke the silence. They both turned toward the door. It opened gently. A woman entered, tall, beautiful, perhaps in her early 30s. Her long legs carried her gracefully across the room. She wore a sleek red dress, and her smile was as sharp as the heels clicking against the marble floor. "Good evening," she said sweetly, placing a tray of fruits and chocolate on the side table. Sophia's smile faded as confusion crept into her heart. The woman glanced at her briefly, her eyes scanning the white wedding dress with an amused expression before turning to Ethan with a lingering look. Then, without another word, she turned and exited the room. Sophia stared at the door, puzzled. Her voice trembled. "Who was that?" Ethan was silent, his eyes fixed on the closed door. A storm seemed to rise behind his calm expression. Finally, he turned back to Sophia, his voice colder this time. "Go change your clothes. I'll be waiting." The shift in his tone hit her like a slap. Her lips parted in shock, but no words came out. She felt the floor spin beneath her. Her chest tightened. Her breath quickened. Why was he acting like this? Who was that woman? Why did she feel like an outsider on her own wedding night? Sophia took a shaky step backward. "Ethan, was she your—" He didn't answer. He just turned away, and that silence screamed louder than anything else. Tears welled up in her eyes. Her fingers trembled as she lifted the hem of her gown and hurried toward the bathroom. Her chest ached. She could feel her heart breaking piece by piece. Inside the bathroom, she locked the door behind her and leaned against it, sliding down to the floor. Her wedding gown pulled around her like waves of crushed dreams. She remembered her mother's words, "He's a good man. He's rich, but he's kind. You'll have a better life." A broken whisper left her lips. "You didn't tell me he was already married." She had imagined her first night as a fairy tale. But instead, she was hiding in a bathroom, her wedding dress wet with tears. She looked at herself in the mirror, beautiful, innocent, glowing, and shattered. She took a deep breath. "I have to be strong," she told herself. "This is my life now." She changed out of her gown slowly, her hands shaking. She knew Ethan was waiting outside, but she wasn't the same girl who had walked into this room an hour ago. Now she was a wife, maybe even a replacement, and her heart was already breaking. Ethan Cross stood still in the center of the dimly lit bedroom. His cold blue eyes stared at the closed bathroom door. From inside, the sound of water cascading in the shower echoed softly in the silence. He knew she was in there. Sophia Lane, his new wife, the girl he had married just a few hours ago. His chest rose and fell with a deep, uneven breath. She was innocent, too innocent for a man like him. He took a step toward the bathroom, then stopped. His gaze shifted toward the bedroom door, the same door his first wife had walked out of, the same door that still haunted his nights. His jaw tightened. A storm raged in his chest. In sudden frustration, he grabbed the glass of water on the nightstand. With a forceful grunt, he threw it across the room. It shattered against the wall, shards scattering like broken memories. He collapsed into the leather chair, burying his face in both hands. His voice trembled as he whispered, "Why the hell am I doing this? I'm Ethan Cross, the man the world fears. But I lied. Why am I playing with the emotions of a girl who trusts me? Why?" Silence filled the room again until a soft click broke it. The bathroom door opened. Ethan looked up slowly. There she was, Sophia, wrapped in a silky white robe. Her wet hair fell over her bare shoulders like a curtain of midnight. Her skin glowed under the soft light, drops of water gliding down her neck. She paused in the doorway, nervous. Her eyes met his. She noticed the broken glass, the tension, his clenched jaw. She didn't speak. She just stood there, unsure, beautiful. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. For a moment, he forgot everything, his past, his guilt, even his anger. All he saw was her innocence, her grace, her delicate heartbeat echoing in the silence between them. He took a slow step toward her, then another. Sophia stepped back slightly, unsure of what he was about to do. Her hands clutched the robe tightly at her waist. "I didn't mean to scare you," Ethan said softly, his voice deeper now, almost vulnerable. She didn't reply. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came. He came closer, now just inches away. His hand reached out, gently brushing a wet strand of hair from her cheek. Her breath hitched. His fingers lingered, tracing the softness of her skin. Neither of them spoke. Time slowed, the air between them thick with tension, with emotion, with something that felt too close to desire and too dangerous to name. Sophia lowered her eyes, her cheeks flushing pink. Ethan moved even closer, and for the first time in years, he didn't feel like a billionaire or a broken man. He felt like a human aching for something real, something he didn't deserve, something like her. The night was quiet. A soft breeze slipped through the open window as the moonlight spilled over the bed. Sophia lay still, wrapped in the strong arms of Ethan Cross. His heartbeat was steady, and his breath was warm on her shoulder. He was asleep, peaceful, unaware that her eyes were wide open, staring at the ceiling. Her mind was far from the soft luxury of the billionaire's penthouse. She was thinking about home. Just a few days ago, life was completely different. She had been in the countryside, in their tiny, broken cottage, where cracked walls whispered stories of poverty and struggle. Her father was terribly sick. She could still hear his coughs, deep and painful. She could still feel her mother's hands shaking as she held a bowl of soup beside his bed. They had sold everything. Their land, jewelry, her father's old tools, all for treatment. But it wasn't enough. Insurance refused to help. The hospital kept calling. No one picked up anymore. Sophia was only 22. Her college degree was incomplete. No company wanted to hire a girl without a name, without a qualification, without experience. She remembered walking home that day, her shoes wet from the muddy road, her hands were cold, her heart heavier than ever. Her mother was waiting at the door. There was something strange about her, something nervous in the way she stood, her arms crossed tightly, her lips pressed together. "Mom," Sophia called. "Come inside," her mother said quietly. Sophia stepped in and gasped. The old wooden table in their tiny kitchen was full. Grapes, apples, oranges, roasted chicken, bread, cheese, dishes they hadn't seen in months, and in the center of the table, a white envelope, a check, thick, fresh, with a number that made Sophia's eyes blur. Whose money is this?" she whispered, stunned. Her mother didn't meet her eyes. "Sit down," she said. Sophia did. Her heart was racing. She looked at her mother, waiting, hoping, fearing. But there's something I have to tell you. Her mother finally spoke. A proposal came for you. A what? Sophia blinked. A marriage proposal. Sophia's heart stopped. From who? They're from the city, a very big family, very rich. They have power. And they want you. Me, Sophia breathed. But why? Her mother hesitated. Sophia could sense it, that pause, that strange flicker in her mother's eyes, like she was holding something back. But then her mother smiled, covering the doubt with warmth. They said you're beautiful, polite, and they want a girl with a good heart. You'll live like a queen, Sophia. Sophia felt her cheeks warm. Her heart fluttered with confusion and curiosity. A queen? She whispered, almost laughing. Yes, and more importantly, her mother reached out, placing her hand on Sophia's. They said they'll take care of your father's treatment, every single bill. The best hospital in the city. Tears filled Sophia's eyes. Mom, really? Her mother nodded. Sophia leaned back in her chair, overwhelmed. For the first time in months, hope lit up her chest. She could already see her father smiling, strong again, standing on his feet, laughing. Do I know the man? Sophia asked softly. Not yet, her mother said quickly. But you'll meet him soon. Sophia smiled shyly. A real billionaire wanted to marry her? Why? How? She had never even dreamed of such a thing. But the thought felt magical, like a story out of a book. She hugged her mother tightly. Thank you, she whispered. The next morning, a black car arrived outside their door. Men in suits stepped out, bringing boxes, clothes, shoes, perfumes, makeup, jewelry. It looked like a movie scene. A handwritten note came with it. The wedding is scheduled for today at 6 p.m. Please bring the bride to St. Mary's Church, Ethan Cross. Sophia's heart skipped. 6 o'clock? She gasped. Her mother nodded. Tonight? Another nod. Sophia looked at the grand white dress folded in the velvet box. She touched the lace, her hands trembling. A part of her was nervous, another part excited. But the strangest thing was, she hadn't even seen his face. This billionaire, this man who had turned her life upside down, who was he? She looked out the window, her breath fogging the glass. Somewhere in the city, a man was waiting. A man she was supposed to marry in just a few hours. And she didn't even know what color his eyes were. It felt like a fairy tale, like she had stepped into someone else's life. But that same morning, outside the room, her mother stood near the kitchen window, her eyes swollen from lack of sleep. Her hands trembled as the morning breeze touched her wrinkled cheeks. The sky was slowly turning golden. Suddenly, her phone rang. She looked at the screen unknown number. Her fingers shook as she picked it up. Hello? A cold voice answered. You signed the contract. Don't forget that. Her heart skipped a beat. Well, who is this? You know who I am, the voice said. It was a woman, confident, sharp, emotionless. The white envelope, it wasn't just money. The contract was in it too. You promised your daughter would follow through. No running. No excuses. The woman paused, then added, She will live with him. She will give birth to her child. And after 1 year, she will disappear. She have no right over the baby or the man. That was the deal. Sophia's mother clutched the phone tighter. Her knees felt weak. I had no choice, she whispered. My husband, he's dying. We're poor. The woman's voice stayed calm. I don't care. You agreed. That girl better not ruin anything. The call ended. Sophia's mother stared at the screen, tears welling in her eyes. Forgive me, my daughter. I did this for you, for your father. I had no choice. Evening came. Sophia stepped into the church, dressed like a princess. Her veil was down so she couldn't see much. She clutched her mother's hand tightly. The church was filled with people in black suits, elegant dresses, candles glowing in every corner. At the altar stood a tall man, Ethan Cross. But Sophia didn't know it yet. Her heart pounded in her chest. Will he smile at me? Will he take care of me? Why do I feel like something's missing? In the last row, a beautiful woman in a black gown watched silently. Her red lips didn't smile. Her arms were crossed. This was Scarlett Johnson, Ethan's first wife. The woman behind it all. No one noticed her. No one saw the coldness in her eyes. Sophia's vows were spoken with a trembling voice. She didn't see Ethan's face, and he didn't see hers. It all happened like a scripted show. The ring, the kiss on her forehead, the quiet applause. She was now his wife. That night, she entered the mansion, Ethan's mansion. A palace-like house, giant hallways, golden chandeliers, roses on every corner. She walked into her bedroom, amazed. The bed was soft like clouds. The lights dimmed like a dream. Morning alarm buzzed 6 a.m. Sophia reached for it with slow fingers. Her eyes were tired. She hadn't slept all night. Today was her first morning as Mrs. Ethan Cross. She sat up in bed and looked to her side. Ethan was asleep, his face calm and peaceful. His chest rose and fell in a steady rhythm. A breath escaped her lips. This isn't a dream anymore. But deep inside, she had no idea what secrets were waiting, or what she had really agreed to. Ethan Cross stepped out of his bedroom, dressed in a sharp black suit, ready to leave for the office. His shoes tapped lightly against the marble floor, echoing through the massive penthouse. From the outside, he looked calm, controlled, perfect. But inside, his heart was drowning in the weight of last night's truth. As he entered the lounge, his sharp blue eyes locked onto her Scarlett Johnson. She sat on the white leather couch like it was a throne, draped in a silver silk gown that clung to her perfectly sculpted figure, one leg crossed over the other. Her long, manicured fingers held a crystal glass. Her dark red lipstick stood out against her pale skin. Her eyes, sharp as ice, met his with a calm arrogance. That look, that fake calm, that familiar chill in her aura, it all dragged him back into memories he had buried long ago. His face turned stone cold. His jaw tightened. He didn't hesitate. He walked straight to her, each step fueled by quiet rage. What the hell is going on, Scarlett? His voice was low, tight, but laced with fire. Why would you do this? Why did you push me into a second marriage? Scarlett didn't flinch. She took a slow sip from her glass, let the wine slide down her throat, then placed the glass gently on the side table. Only then did she look up, her eyes gleaming with something dark. "Oh, Ethan," she whispered, almost sweetly. "You still don't understand, do you?" Ethan's fists clenched at his sides. That girl. Sophia. She has no idea I'm already married. She doesn't know she's my second wife. Do you realize what you've done? Scarlett stood up now. The soft rustle of her gown filled the silence. Her perfume followed, sweet, seductive, suffocating. She tilted her head slightly, her voice flat. "We needed a baby." He stared at her, confused. She continued like she was discussing a business deal. "Your father's legacy is hanging by a thread. The Cross Empire needs an heir. If something happens to you tomorrow, who takes control? Your sister, your cousin? No, Ethan. It has to be your child. A real one. And not from some cold clinical lab." His throat went dry. "You can't have children?" he asked carefully. Scarlett smiled coldly. "I can. But I won't. I'm not ruining my body, Ethan. I've spent years creating this image, this perfection. Stretch marks, weight gain, pain, labor. That's not part of my life plan." Ethan's eyes darkened with disgust. "So you had just bought someone else's body?" She stepped closer, her tone still calm. "I found the perfect girl. paid her mother a generous amount. The contract was simple: 1 year. She lives here, gives us a baby, and then leaves. Quietly. No rights. No mess. Ethan's heart cracked open. He whispered, "You hired her? Like she's a surrogate?" She agreed, Scarlett said without blinking. She needed the money. And let's be honest, girls like her don't get a second chance at life-changing money. Ethan's voice dropped to a whisper. "But she's innocent?" Scarlett raised a brow. "She's not doing this for money," he said again, a tremble in his voice. "You didn't see her last night. The way she looked at me, the way she smiled, she thinks this is real." Scarlett's smile vanished. Her voice turned cold. "Don't get attached, Ethan. This isn't a fairy tale. It's business. You knew the plan." He stepped back like her words had slapped him. Business? Is that what this had become? He looked around at the luxury, the polished marble, the crystal, the silence. It all felt fake now. The beautiful prison. He turned away from her. His hand reached for the door. Scarlett spoke again, her voice low. "Don't let emotions ruin this. Remember who you are. Remember what's at stake." But Ethan didn't respond. His hand gripped the door handle, his body stiff. He opened the door and stepped out, leaving behind the cold palace built on lies. And walking into the storm, his heart could no longer deny. Days passed quickly, and one morning, when sun streamed gently through the tall windows of Ethan's luxurious estate, the light filtered through sheer curtains, casting golden patterns across the wooden floor. Inside the room, everything felt still until the soft creak of the bathroom door broke the silence. Ethan turned his head sharply. Sophia stepped out, wrapped in a simple white towel. Her long, damp hair clung to her back like silk threads. Drops of water still traced the curve of her neck, and her cheeks were flushed from the warmth of the shower. There was something innocent in her, something that pulled Ethan like gravity. He didn't speak for a moment. He just looked at her, his breath caught, as if something inside him had shifted without warning. Sophia lowered her eyes, slightly embarrassed. I didn't think you'd be standing right there," she whispered. Ethan took a slow step forward. His gaze softened. "You don't have to be nervous with me," he said gently, reaching out to take her hand. Sophia looked up, her heart racing. His fingers were warm and firm, and the way he held her hand protective, yet careful, sent an unexpected flutter through her chest. "Come," he said, his voice lower now. "You're having breakfast with me?" Her eyes widened. "With you?" He smiled faintly. "You're my wife, aren't you?" With hesitant steps, she followed him out of the room. Her feet barely made a sound on the marble floor as they descended the staircase. When they entered the grand dining hall, the atmosphere changed instantly. Scarlett Johnson was already seated at the far end of the long glass table, sipping coffee in a red satin robe. Beside her, Ethan's father sat stiffly, reading the newspaper. As soon as Sophia entered, all heads turned. Scarlett's smile vanished. Her expression hardened. Sophia paused, unsure. Ethan guided her closer, but she could feel the tension rise like smoke in the room. Scarlett's voice sliced through the silence. "Send her breakfast to her room. She doesn't belong at this table." Sophia flinched, her heart cracking just a little. Ethan froze for a second, then turned toward Scarlett, his eyes dark and cold. "If you don't want to sit here, you're free to leave. But she will have breakfast here." Scarlett stood up, fury flashing in her eyes. "She doesn't even know basic table manners." "That's enough." Ethan's voice thundered across the hall. Everyone fell silent. Sophia stood frozen. Her eyes dropped to the floor, her fingers trembling. She could feel tears sting the corners of her eyes. Ethan saw it. He stepped closer, brushing her knuckles with his thumb. "Sit," he whispered gently. Sophia sat down, swallowing back tears. The breakfast that followed was quiet, tense. Ethan never let go of her hand under the table. It was his way of telling her, I'm with you. Later that afternoon, Ethan took the keys to his black convertible. Come with me, he told her. To where? He didn't answer, just opened the car door for her. They drove along the winding coastal road, sunlight shimmering on the waves. The wind tousled Sophia's hair, and for the first time, a smile lit her face. She turned to Ethan. He wasn't smiling, but there was peace in his eyes. After an hour, they stopped at a hilltop cafe overlooking the ocean. The view was breathtaking. They sat there in silence, sipping coffee, watching the waves crash far below. Sophia closed her eyes for a moment, breathing it all in. Then suddenly, she pressed a hand to her chest. Her face went pale. Sophia? Ethan rose, alarmed. I don't feel good, she whispered, swaying slightly. In the next instant, he was by her side, lifting her into his arms. Everything else disappeared, the view, the sun, the cafe. Within minutes, they reached the nearest hospital. Ethan paced the hallway outside the examination room, panic growing in his chest. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. The doctor finally stepped out. She's okay, the doctor said, just a little weak. But there's something else. Ethan's heart stopped. She's pregnant. The words hit him like lightning and wrapped around his chest. Pregnant. His heart raced with joy for a second. He pictured her holding a baby. Their baby. Then his breath caught. 9 months. The contract. He stepped back, heart thudding. His joy collapsed into a silent ache. He knew. He knew this happiness had an expiry date. 9 months from now, she would leave, because that was the deal. She didn't know it, but he did. Sophia was asleep when he entered the room. Her hand rested on her stomach, a peaceful expression on her face. Ethan sat beside her and brushed a lock of hair away from her eyes. I wish I could keep you forever, he whispered. A few days later, Sophia insisted on visiting her home. Ethan went with her. They drove for hours, far away from his world of wealth and security. Her neighborhood was quiet, worn down. The houses were old and the streets cracked. Sophia's small home was simple. Her mother welcomed them with tired eyes and warm hugs. Her younger siblings peeked from behind curtains, giggling. Inside, there was no fancy furniture, just warmth, love, honesty. Ethan sat in that tiny living room and watched Sophia laugh with her family, rolling dough in the kitchen, helping her sister braid her hair. He had never seen her this alive. He walked outside, stood by the small gate, and looked around. This was her world, not his. A strange feeling rose inside him, guilt, respect, and something else. She had walked into his world of power and cold marble floors, not for money, but for something deeper. Yet a single seed of doubt still lingered. Why did she agree to the marriage? Was it truly just about the money? Or was there something more? He didn't know, but he couldn't stop himself from loving her more every day. Even when he knew, deep down, he might have to let her go. The golden light of morning poured through the tall windows of Ethan's bedroom. Sophia sat near the vanity, brushing her long chestnut hair, humming a soft tune. Ethan stood at the door, silently watching her, a gentle smile playing on his lips. Time had moved quickly. 9 months had passed since she had entered his life like a quiet storm. Every day had pulled him deeper into a love he never believed he could feel again. She turned, catching him staring. What? She asked with a shy smile. Ethan walked toward her and took her hands, lifting them to his lips. I'm just thinking how you've ruined me, Sophia Lane. She laughed, her cheeks flushed. Ruined you? How? By making me believe in love again, he whispered. Just as he leaned down to kiss her forehead, the bedroom door swung open. The mood shattered. Scarlett stood at the threshold like a storm waiting to erupt. She looked stunning as always, poised, Elegant, but her eyes burned with contempt, her gaze locked onto Sophia's face like a dagger. So Scarlett said coolly, "This is what the mighty Ethan Cross has become. Weak, emotional, pathetic." Ethan's jaw tightened. He straightened slowly. "Scarlett, you have no right to walk into my room like this." Scarlett stepped forward, ignoring Sophia entirely. "I need to speak with you. Alone." Sophia's hand slipped from Ethan's. He looked down at her, eyes soft. "Just give me a minute," he murmured before following Scarlett out reluctantly. The hallway outside felt cold compared to the warmth of the bedroom. Scarlett turned to him, folding her arms. "You've forgotten everything, haven't you?" she said, her voice clipped. "The contract, the purpose. She was brought here to give you an heir. Nothing more." Ethan's brows furrowed. "Scarlett?" "No, listen to me," she snapped. "She was never meant to be your lover. She was never meant to be your weakness. Now the 9 months are up. Prepare the annulment papers. I want her out of this house as soon as possible. No complications." Ethan's heart slammed in his chest. "How can you be so heartless?" Scarlett chuckled bitterly. "Heartless? I'm just being realistic. Or are you seriously going to tell me you think she married you for love?" Ethan's fists clenched. "You don't know her. I know girls like her. Poor, desperate, manipulative. You're a billionaire." "Ethan," she saw the price tag, not the man. He took a step back, struggling to hold in the storm rising inside him. Her words stabbed deeper than he expected. That doubt, small and ugly, had always lingered at the edge of his heart. Did Sophia truly love him, or had he simply been her way out of poverty? Scarlett stepped closer. "Get the papers ready. You'll thank me later." Without another word, she turned and walked down the hall. Ethan stood frozen for a moment, his breathing uneven. He wiped a hand down his face and turned back toward the bedroom. Sophia was sitting at the edge of the bed, still smiling, though her eyes flickered with worry when she saw him. "Everything okay?" she asked gently. He nodded, but it was too stiff, too silent. She stood and walked over to him. "Is something wrong?" He forced a smile. "No, just some business talk. Nothing important." Sophia reached out, placing her hand over his chest. "You look distant." Ethan stepped back slightly, his eyes searching hers. There was so much he wanted to say: that he loved her, that her laughter had lit up the mansion's dead corridors, that her touch had brought life back into his world. But Scarlett's words echoed in his mind. She saw the price tag, not the man. He looked away. "I need to take care of something." He walked out, leaving her alone. The door clicked shut behind him. Sophia stood still for a moment, her hand slowly dropping to her side. The smile faded. Her heart, once full of warmth, suddenly felt heavy, like she'd just lost something she hadn't even realized she had earned. Ethan had just stepped out of the room. His heart was pounding, mind swirling with worry. But just as he reached the hallway, a sudden scream cut through the silence behind him. "Sophia!" He turned and ran back inside. There she was, collapsed on the floor, her hands clutching her belly, her face twisted in pain, her breath short and ragged. Ethan rushed to her, falling to his knees beside her. "Stay with me, Sophia." "I'm here," he whispered, gathering her trembling body in his arms. Hospital emergency room 2 hours later. The family gathered outside the delivery room. Ethan's father, Thomas Cross, and his wife Scarlett Johnson were also there. The silence was thick with tension. Scarlett looked calm, too calm. Her lips curled slightly into a victorious smirk. A nurse finally emerged, holding a tiny baby wrapped in a soft blue blanket. "Congratulations." "It's a boy," she smiled. Before Ethan could move, Scarlett stepped forward quickly. Her hands reached out and took the baby from the nurse. Her voice rang in the air, sharp and cold. "My baby is here now. The contract is complete. We no longer need that girl. She opened her purse, took out her phone, and dialed a number with steady fingers. Hello, Mrs. Lane. You can come pick up your daughter. We don't need her anymore. The contract has ended. Ethan stood frozen. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Scarlett, his wife, had said that girl. She meant Sophia, the woman who had carried his child, the woman he had fallen in love with. His fists clenched, but he remained silent. His heart ached with helplessness. Inside the ward, Sophia lay unconscious on the bed, her face pale, lips dry. She looked fragile, broken. The labor had taken everything from her. Ethan stepped inside, his chest heavy. He stood beside her bed, watching her sleep. His eyes softened as he gently brushed a strand of hair from her forehead. I'm so sorry, he whispered. Just then, Scarlett entered behind him. Her heels clicked sharply on the floor. You've seen her, she said coldly, walking to him. It's over now. She was part of the deal. She gave us the air. That's all. She grabbed Ethan's hand and pulled him away. She leave, you'll see. Girls like her always leave. Ethan didn't argue. He was too numb, too confused. But somewhere deep inside, he didn't believe Scarlett. He knew Sophia. He knew her heart. Next morning, Sophia's room. The morning light streamed through the blinds. Sophia stirred on the bed, her lashes fluttering. Her body was weak, but her heart beat faster. Mama, she whispered, seeing her mother sitting by the window, eyes full of tears. Sophia struggled to sit up. Where's my baby? Where's Ethan? Her mother slowly stood and walked to her, her voice shaking. They're gone, Sophia. They used you. Sophia's eyes widened. What? They never loved you. It was all a contract. They only wanted your baby. No, Ethan wouldn't. Her voice cracked. Her mother nodded, tears running down her face. He was part of it. Sophia broke down, her hand over her chest. She couldn't breathe. Her heart shattered. The man who once kissed her forehead, whispered dreams into her ears, he had betrayed her. She felt hollow, used. Tears poured down her cheeks. Days passed. Sophia returned to her small home. It was empty, quiet, cold. Her arms ached for her child. Her soul longed for Ethan. Every corner of the house reminded her of what she had lost. She'd sit by the window for hours, praying to hear a knock, a cry, anything. But there was only silence. Meanwhile, Ethan's mansion. Ethan couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Scarlett laughed and smiled, living her lavish life with their son, but Ethan felt nothing. Every time he held the baby, he saw Sophia's eyes. Her soft voice haunted him. Her absence was a wound that wouldn't heal. Then one night, he stood up. He had made a decision. He gently picked up his baby from the cradle, wrapped him in a blanket. He didn't say a word to Scarlett. He drove through the night, across the city. Sophia's house, late night. Sophia sat in her dim-lit room, lost in her thoughts. Her hands rested in her lap, lifeless. Her eyes were hollow, her heart broken. A soft knock echoed. She hesitated, then opened the door. There he stood, Ethan, and in his arms her baby. Sophia gasped. She stepped back, stunned. Ethan didn't say anything at first. He walked in and placed the baby gently in her arms. He needs his mother, Ethan whispered. Even if you hate me, don't take it out on him. Please keep him. Tears welled in Sophia's eyes as she looked at her baby, then back at Ethan. You used me, she said, her voice trembling. You lied to me. Ethan's eyes filled with pain. I didn't know about the contract. Not until the day you gave birth. It was Scarlett's doing. I loved you, Sophia. I still do. But I didn't know how to fight her. I thought you'd come back. Sophia looked down. I thought you threw me away like trash. No, Ethan said firmly. I came today because I can't live without you. Their eyes locked. Everything paused. Then Sophia took a shaky breath. I never knew about the contract either. I thought you just needed a baby. That's what Mom said. That's what Scarlett told the hospital. Ethan stepped closer. We were both lied to. A silence passed. Then Sophia looked up with new strength in her voice. Let's never let anyone else decide for us again. Ethan's eyes lit up with hope. Does this mean... Yes, she whispered, but not just for me. For him. She kissed her baby's forehead, tears falling freely. Ethan leaned forward, wrapping both of them in his arms. The pain melted. The misunderstandings faded. In that small room filled with broken hearts and soft light, a family was finally born.